So how many of you, when you wake up in the morning, you just the alarm goes off and you just hop out of bed and you're awake? I don't understand you at all. Okay, how many of you, the alarm goes off and you hit it and you go right back to sleep, okay? And you do that multiple times, right? And then, if you're like me, when you finally do get out of bed, you're basically for the first at least 30 minutes, okay? It takes me a while till I get completely out. Here's a good question. How many of you set your own alarm and your own alarm wakes you up? Okay, who does that? Right? Okay, who has somebody in their house that wakes them up? Okay, yeah, mommy, daddy. That's what I did when I was in high school or middle school especially. And my mom, though, was way too chipper in the morning. I don't know if you know my mom, but she would come in singing good morning, good morning, good morning. It's time to rise and shine. And I'm like, go away. and I wasn't good. I didn't like the mornings. But when I was in college, of course, I set my own alarm and got myself up and, started being like an adult. And I was pretty good at it, except for there was one time specifically that I remember I forgot to set my alarm. So I was the drummer for a church up near where I lived then, and it was a big church. They had two services. The first service was about 350, 400 people, and so I lived an hour away, or I went to college, and so I just drove in on Sunday morning to play. And service started at 9, which meant I had to leave at 8 to be there on time, because about 55-minute drive, okay, to get there. And so we just got there right before service and went in and played. And this particular Sunday morning, I woke up and I was like, oh, what time is it? And I looked, and it was 8:15. Remember, it's an hour drive, okay? And I had 45 minutes if I left right then to get. I got dressed in 2.5 seconds. I mean, it was I jumped into my clothes. I didn't even tie my shoes or button up my shirt, okay? I ran down the stairs, ran to my car, and I'm driving down the road, trying to tie shoes while I'm driving, on the highway. And well, let's just say there weren't any speed limits that day. I don't know where they went, but I was going so fast all the way, and I was panicking, driving as fast as I could. And I remember I finally got on the last street before the church, and there was a cop. But he didn't pull me over. And so I just kept going. And I got to the church at 9:03. 9:03. And I thought, maybe they started late. I didn't have a phone. I couldn't call them, okay? And so I run in, and they were doing this old song. It was a long time ago. It was called My Redeemer Lives. And it was, My Redeemer Lives, like that, okay? There was literally a drum solo in the song. The whole band stopped, and the drums and they're all clapping and stuff, okay? And I wasn't on the stage, okay? And now I'm standing in the back of the room, and they're looking. The worship leader, looks at me. She sees me come in, and she goes, in front of all these people. Then I have to do the walk of shame all the way around this huge auditorium, up on the stage, and I'm sitting on this. Now I'm playing drums, and they don't even sound the same. They sound like, you are dumb, you are dumb, dum 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 dum. Okay, that's all I can think. I'm like, how did I forget something so important like setting an alarm? It's so simple. How did I forget? And I don't know if you've just forgotten something like that. I think we've all done that. You forgot something really important, you walked into the class and the teacher said it was test and you realized you forgot, okay? Or you forgot the assignment, or you did the homework. This is the worst. You did it and you left it at home, okay? And then you have to try to convince the teacher that you did it and you didn't just make that up, okay? And so I don't know if you've had these things, you forgot something, and I think we all do that. We have things that we just forget, things that are important, things that we need to remember. And so we started last week, we call them these series of talks, I guess, sticky notes, because sticky notes are very handy little things. I love sticky notes. I use them all the time to help you remember something, basically. And the main purpose of a sticky note is if you have a reminder, you write it on there, and then they're sticky, right? You can just stick it wherever you need to remember to do whatever that thing is. Also, they come in handy. I write my wife little notes and leave them places, okay? Just tip for you someday, okay? And you're like, oh, that's sweet. Yeah, it works. And so those sticky notes are really handy to help you remember something. I put them on my steering wheel of my car sometimes, so when I get in my car, I'll go, don't forget that. Oh, okay, I'll go back inside it. And I use them a lot, okay? They help me to remember things. And so we've been talking about some things that we need to remember, because just like we said, if you forget, about a test, that causes you problems, right? It's not good, okay? You could fail. If you forget something your parents told you to do, you could get grounded. You have, you know how that goes. Okay, that can be not a good thing. But on the other side, sometimes remembering something can get you really like good things. Okay, like here, guys, I'm gonna give you a great tip. So if there's a girl you like, maybe girl you're dating, okay, and you hear her say something like, "Oh, that's my favorite candy." Favorite candy is, okay? Like you need to write that down. You better not forget that. If you're hanging out and she's like, "Oh, there's a tulip, that's my favorite flower. Oh, there's a lily, that's my favorite flower." Favorite flower is, okay, because then that birthday rolls around and you show up with favorite candy and favorite flower. She's like, "Oh, you remembered," okay? And you're like, "Yeah, okay." And that's good, okay? When you remember things, it's important, okay? Write down every anniversary, okay? And when you need to show up and be like, "This is the anniversary of the first time we sat next to each other." I'm like, wow, okay? Like just remember everything, okay? No, but sometimes when you remember things, it brings good things. And so what we started doing, okay, is we're talking about some things that we don't want to forget. And obviously, if we were just doing that in general, that's a lot of stuff we could do. So what we're specifically doing is there's this passage in Proverbs chapter 3. Proverbs was written by a guy who was known for his wisdom. And he writes some stuff that's like really important in this chapter that we want to know. And so we're looking at 4 of the things that he said. And the reason I kind of call them sticky notes, things we need to remember, is because it's like he's talking to his son. Okay, he even says son. And he says, "My son, do not forget." And so right out the gate, he's like, "Hey, this is something you probably will forget, but don't," okay? And if he was saying it to you or me, he'd probably say, "Now don't forget," because that's the way we tend to do. There are things that we may have kind of already heard, maybe, some of them, but we tend to just forget about them and not think about them. So he starts out and he says, "Don't forget." These are sticky note worthy things, okay? And he says, "Don't forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart." In fact, he takes it beyond not just remembering, okay? He says it needs to be something that becomes like in your heart. In other words, it just becomes part of who that you are, okay? And then he goes on, he says, if you don't forget, and he says, "For they will," these things he's going to tell us, "will prolong your life many years and bring you prosperity." So long life, and it's good. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily want a long life that's bad, okay? But so a long life that is good, long life and prosperity. And then he goes and tells us some of these things. So last week's, if you missed, was a principle that if you will remember, will make every relationship you have better. A relationship with your parents, with your teachers, with your coach. It'll make you better at dating, okay? So if you missed and that sounds curious, just look it up online, okay? You can watch last week. And if you were like, "I didn't pay attention enough, I need to get better at dating," you can go watch it again, okay? So that's the last time. We're not going to look at those. Those were verses 3 and 4. So we're going to go to the next one. And just like last week, I want to go to the end of what he says, because he tells us what the benefit of this specific one is. I mean, they all bring prosperity, but they each kind of have their own specific way that they help you prosper. So I want to look at the end of that and what it is that it helps you with, okay? And here it is. This is verse 6. And it says, "If you do this thing," and then he says, "and he will direct your paths," which you're going, "Oh, yay. I'm so glad," right? Like that's exactly what I wanted to hear tonight. He's going to direct my path. That's exciting. Can we do something else, right? Like it would have been really great if it said, "and he will give you a lot of money," right? Wouldn't that be a great verse or something? You'd be like, "Okay, let's take notes, okay? Girls will find you irresistible," okay? And then you'd be really excited, okay? So it's not that. This is way bigger. And I know it's not exciting sounding, so I want us to help us understand. Okay, we all are on paths. Do you know that? You have paths, okay? Some paths lead to stress. Some paths lead to peace. Some paths lead to success. Some lead to failure, okay? Some will lead to, sadness, and some to depression, while others lead to happiness and these things. So some lead to good relationships, and some lead to bad. We're on different paths in our lives. And this is what he says. "I'm going to direct you." And there's a kind of an underlying principle here, and it's, if you've been in Amplify for a while, this isn't new. In fact, I've spent like weeks talking about it at a time before, but I just want to review it a little bit for those of you that have been here and those of you that are new. This is something that's a huge principle for our lives, and that is as simple as underlying here as this: direction determines destination. Direction determines destination. Let me make it kind of obvious. How would you like to tomorrow skip school, okay? On this page, okay? Tomorrow, what if tomorrow we all skipped school, we came here, we loaded up on the bus, and we went to Padre, and just went to the beach for a day. Does that sound good? Anybody think this? Okay, you're liking this? Okay, this is the plan. We're going to come here. Now, here's the thing. If we decided that's what we were going to do, and so tonight you go home, you get your bag out, you get your swimsuit on, or not on, in the bag, okay? You pack your sunscreen, you tell everybody, you call people, I'm going to Padre, okay? And we're going to do all this. You're getting all excited. We show up here. You forget about school. Heck, we could just do online school and pretend like we're doing it. We just do it on the bus right there, okay? Like, who cares? All right, it'll take us a while to get there. So, so here's the thing. We get here, we meet, we get all on the bus, we get out on the road, we get to 35, and we go north. We're never going to get to Padre, okay? It doesn't matter how long we drive north on 35. We might see, like, Dakota, okay? One of those. Dakota's like, I don't even know what you do in Dakotas, okay? Like, why we even have those. But we might get there, but, like, you're never going to see the beach, okay? The swimsuit's not going to be good once we're in North Dakota, okay? Like, it's not going to help you at all, okay? And so it doesn't matter, like, how much you wanted it. In fact, it doesn't even matter if we have a big prayer time first. Lord, help us have a good time in Padre and be safe and da-da-da. If we get on the highway and we go north, you're going to be like, you ain't getting there. Because here's the thing. Your direction determines your destination. And it is extremely obvious when we're talking about driving a car. Or, if I'm like, I want to get my sticky notes. Okay, that's not going to work, right? Because my direction is wrong. Your direction is so important. It's so obvious in this area. But what we miss is it is so important in your life. That you are places right now because of a direction that you took in your past. And there are places that you are going to be that you will be there because of decisions and directions that you head in today and tomorrow and in the future. So the directions that we go determine our destination. And you know what? I see a lot of people that are in destinations that they never wanted to be. I mean, let's be like too obvious, okay? Nobody goes, you know what I want to do? I want to like get super addicted to some substance, so addicted that I like blow all my money and then I start robbing people and then I get arrested and I go to jail. Yet there are thousands of people that are in jail in our country for that exact same scenario, right? Nobody said that's what I want, okay? Now, obviously, none of you are thinking, I'm going to get addicted and go to jail. But nobody goes, hey, you know what I want to do? I want to have a bunch of really bad relationships all through junior high, high school, college. I want to have all those so that someday when I find somebody and I get married, I have a ton of baggage so the first few years of my marriage are just kind of horrible and a mess because I got to get rid of all this baggage first. That is my dream, okay? That is a very common destination. Nobody wanted to be there, but the reason they're there is because they took the wrong direction. And here's what we got to remember. Our directions are so important. In fact, and it's not your intent, your direction is important, it's not your intention. Here's where we get mixed up. Well, I really want this. Intention doesn't get you somewhere. Direction does. I can really want to go to Padre, but if I go north, I'm not going to get there. You can really want a good relationship. You can really want to know God. You can really want to be successful at school or be successful in life or with finances or whatever. You can really want good friendships. But if your direction is wrong, you won't get to that destination. Now, the other side of that is something that's really cool, is if right now you are at a place that you don't want to be, your destination currently, you're looking at your life and going, I don't like this. You can change direction and begin to get there. And it's not usually instant. Okay, like if your family relationships are really bad, like you go home and it's just like, okay, you probably can't go home tonight and in one step go, my relationships with my parents is now great. Okay, that's not gonna happen that way. But do you know what you do? You start in a direction. And if you head in that direction and you go in the right way for a while, you end up in a different place. If your grades are terrible, okay, you cannot go to school tomorrow and go, today I want all A's because I changed direction. The teacher's going to go, okay, we'll do your homework and we'll go up a little bit. But here's the deal. If you change direction over time, you'll end up in a different destination. And you can talk about that with your friendships. You can talk about it with finances. You can talk about it with all kinds of things. Everything really in our life. Even your relationship with God. Now, I know with God, it's like, sure, you can at the end of the service tonight, you can like leaps and bounds to God. You say, God, I want you, and he runs to us. Okay, I understand how he works, and he can even do miracles in our life and cause big changes. But then if we are not going in the right direction, what we do is we begin to drift away, walk away from him again. So this applies in so many parts of our life. So because this is so important, by the way, it's important. You don't even have to believe in God for this to be important. Like if you just got this one idea in your head, this would change your life. But it's even better if you do know Jesus because of this. Because he, talking about God, will direct your paths. In other words, he will help you know which direction, which path to take. Because, well, maybe you're much smarter than I am. I take stupid directions sometimes, and I end up somewhere and I'm going, how did I end up over here? Like, how is things such a mess? I thought I was doing the right thing. And what he's saying is, I will direct your path. So how does he direct your path? Let me show you. He goes back. He gives us three things that have to happen or need to happen in our lives for us to experience him directing our paths. Okay, so we go back to verse 5, and he says this: trust in the Lord with all your heart. It begins with this simple idea of trusting the Lord with all your heart. So who here has a driver's license? Okay, and who's trying to get one currently? Because I heard you have to wait like 6 months to get an appointment. Yeah, like it's apparently like the crazy to get an appointment to get your license. Okay, so a lot of you can drive. You've probably ridden with another friend who is around your age before. I don't know. Do any of you have like terrible friend drivers? Anybody? Okay. Who is a terrible driver? Anybody themselves the terrible driver? Okay, well, don't get in the car. It's amazing to me that we will put our lives in the hands of people that like we wouldn't trust to hold something that's valuable of ours. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but we will let them drive us down the highway at 70 miles an hour. Okay. I had friends growing up that I remember getting in the car with them, and I'm like checking, like holding on like the seatbelts, like there's a car, okay. And they were really, really bad drivers, okay. But I trusted them, I guess. Now let me tell you how that I think a lot of us think of trusting God, okay. And so you think about your life as the car, okay. What we want to do is we want to drive, and we want Jesus right there, okay. Now this is the Christian people, okay. We want Jesus right here, right. And this is how we want to do it. I go where I want to go. As fast as I want to go there, I'm going to go to the destinations I want, the directions I want. But I got Jesus here. He can give me ideas every now and then, okay? And if things spin out of control, right, I'm about to crash, I can go, Jesus, take the wheel, right? Take it from my hands, okay? Because, okay, this is the time I need you, okay? This is what you're here for, okay? Take it, okay? But then I'm back in control. Thank you. Okay, so I want him here for disasters, but everything else, you know, is up to me. I want to go where I want to go. And that is not trusting in the Lord with all your heart. Trusting in the Lord. This is trusting. It would be you getting in the driver's seat, right? And Jesus, in the passenger seat, and you putting Jesus in the driver's seat saying, you take me where you want to go. You take me how fast you want to go there. You take me to the places you want to go and the direction you want to take me. And that's trust. And what the reason I say that's trust is, see, for a lot of us, letting God take us where we want seems scary because I know, or I think I know where I want to go. But what if he takes me somewhere I don't want to go? What if he takes me somewhere I don't like? See, the deal is to say, no, I believe that he will take me to a good place. That is trusting him. And if we can't trust that he's going to take us somewhere good, then we'll never follow the direction that he gives us. We'll never go down the path. It begins with trusting him. But if in my heart, I believe that he loves me, wants good for me, and will take me in the right direction, then he can begin to direct my paths. But it begins with that. It begins with trust in the Lord. And then he says, and lean not on your own understanding. And this is really hard to do in our own lives. Lean not on your own understanding. In other words, you think that you understand what to do, but you can't just go off of what you understand. So if your understanding was always right, you would not have any problems that you caused in your life. But I think all of us can look at our life and go, yep, I've caused some problems. And so that means that my understanding at some point has failed me. And so what he's saying is don't just lean on your own understanding. Let me say it another way. There will be times when you are making a decision, and if you're trying to let God direct, it will not make sense. You will go, he wants me to do what? Like, I don't understand that. Okay, that is not how you get a date. Okay, that is not how you become successful. That is not how, you treat somebody that treated you that way. Okay, if he starts to direct you, you're going to go, I don't understand that. And he's saying sometimes we cannot lean on our own understanding. We're going to lean on his understanding. We're going to lean on his ways. And that's kind of right into the next thing he says. And he says, in all your ways acknowledge him. And then that's where we started. And he will direct your paths. In all your ways, acknowledge him. In all your ways. Not just your church ways, okay, and your praying ways. Your dating ways, your school ways, your family ways, the ways that you talk. Okay, we have ways. You know, like I have a way that I talk. Some people think it's hick. You have no idea how much I'm holding back from my childhood, okay? Like, when I grew up, we had real hick talking, okay? I grew up in little towns and all that kind of stuff. See, it's just there. I have to keep it back, okay? Like, because here's the thing, you can change your ways. I don't want this to be my way, all right? I don't want that to be my way, and this is as good as I've been able to make it so far, so I'm sorry. But we have ways, have a way that I talk. Or maybe you've heard somebody do this. Have you ever heard somebody, like, there's someone's kind of a jerk, and you heard them say, like, well, that's just the way he is. That's just the way she is, okay? Like, oh yeah, she did that. That's the way she is. And this is what we're saying. They have a way. They have a way that they do things. And so what we're looking at here, he's saying we're going to acknowledge him in our ways. The way that I would handle a situation. The way I'm going to talk to somebody. The way that I'm going to live. I'm going to acknowledge him in all of my ways. Let me emphasize on this all thing. See, we want to sometimes go, God, I want you to direct this part of my life, but don't touch that one. Okay, that is not how this principle works. If he's going to direct our paths, it's all of our ways. And he says we acknowledge him. That is to recognize his authority, to acknowledge him. You can think of acknowledging like this. Have you ever had somebody like really mad at you, and you walked into the room, and you said, hey, and they're like, did y'all hear something? It's like a little sound in the air. I'm like, and they like won't acknowledge you. You know what I'm talking about? You know, some of you, that was you. Okay, they won't acknowledge you. Okay, they won't even like. Okay, and we do that to God, I think. Sometimes he's trying to tell us something, and we're like, no, I'm not going to listen to that one. I don't like that one, okay? And you're going to listen to everything else he said, but I don't like that one, okay? You can tell me how to handle that, but not that. And so we want to acknowledge him. We want to recognize him. We want to recognize his authority in our lives in all of our ways. And then it says he will direct our paths. And then we get to see him take us places where he wants us to go. Now, I was trying to think of, this is supposed to be like a sticky note, like something you can remember, right? And so I don't think you're going to go home and go, all right, because direction determines my destination, I need to make sure that I trust in the Lord with all my heart, and then I lean on my own understanding. And then, that's just too much. So I came up with a question, a simple, very simple sticky note question. And when you leave, we're going to actually give it to you again on a sticky note, okay? Just like this. This is one of them. And that you can ask this question, and it will help direct your life. Here's the question. God, which way is your way? Here you are, you get up in the morning and you're thinking about your day and you know you've got to make this decision, or you know there's this person that was such a jerk to you and you're going to see them today and you're going to have to talk to them. God, which way is your way? Which way would you talk to this person? Which way would you take this situation? Which way is your way? If you begin to ask yourself, which way is your way? This is what will happen. You're going to come up and there's going to be some points in your life and you could go this path or this path. And they're directions. They're going to take you to a destination. And instead of you just going what makes sense to you, what feels right, whatever, you begin to take his path. And his path leads to good destinations. That's that trust part. And what we tend to do is we'll look at, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, I want to do this. I don't want to do that. And sometimes God says, hey, I want you to go this way. And we go, well, what if God doesn't take me where I want to go? Then take me to a good place. That's that trust part, right? Or what if we go, oh, but that doesn't make any sense. None of my friends would do that. Like, nobody I know would do that. I lean out on my own understanding. That's why that's important. This is a different way than I've ever thought of going. We acknowledge him in all of our ways. And so what begins to happen is when we begin to make decisions, at first, it may need to be a very conscious thing. In fact, I would encourage you to do this. Put this somewhere where you'll see it all week, just this week at least, okay? And maybe just in the morning or maybe at some point during your day. And think about, is there something, a decision I'm making, a relationship thing going on or whatever? And just go, God, which way is your way? At first, it's going to be a conscious thing that you do. As just on specific situations. Over time, if you make this sticky, it'll stick in here. And what ends up happening is as you go through your day, and you don't even have to consciously think this because this is how you live all of a sudden. What would his way be? Here's a relationship problem. What would he do? Here's a decision I'm going to make about money. What would he do? And all of a sudden, I'm just living his ways in all that I do. Having a conversation with my parents about something uncomfortable. What was his way? All of a sudden, his ways are there all the time. It begins with this. begins asking, God, which way is your way? That little question may cause you to end up in some destinations that you never even thought were possible. See, this is so important to me for you. This is why we do so much of what we do. Like every February, we spend a whole month talking about relationships, right? Why do we do that? Because I get so tired of seeing many of you or many people that have been in this group end up in a destination where their life is a mess because of a relationship, where they are hurt and in pain and regrets. So what I'm trying to do is help them understand an understanding that they haven't. I'm trying to help you understand stuff you hadn't understood before. Understand God's ways in that so that you go to a different destination. That's over and over these kind of things that we talk about. And God will direct you in every area of your life if you'll begin to ask him, God, which way is your way? Now, I know that some of you may have came in tonight and we talk about destinations or whatever, and you're currently in a mess. You're currently in some situation that's a mess. And I want you to know that's not unusual. All of us have been there or are there right now. And so what I want to ask you to do or encourage you to do is to let somebody pray for you. So as we end the service tonight, what we're going to do is I'm going to pray and we're all going to stand and we're going to just sing part of a song. It's not going to be a long time. And during that time, there will be people at the back of the room to pray with you. Our interns will be back there and they would love to pray with you about any situation that you have. And we just believe that when we do that, God begins to move. And he may begin to direct your heart in a new way. He may in that moment just begin to show you a way to go. And he'll begin to do a work inside of your heart. And then in just a minute, we'll be dismissed. So let's pray. When I say amen, we'll stand. And if you need prayer, that's when you step out. Father, I thank you that you love us and you direct us and you'll show us the way to go. Lord, I pray that you would help us to get past our inability to understand, or Lord, that you would help us to trust you and help us to see your ways. Lord, I pray that you would cause some of us, Lord, to go in a new direction tonight. Lord, I pray for those that are in a situation now that's hurting, that you would give them hope, that they can shift and begin walking to a new place. Lord, I pray that anyone feels far from you would begin to draw near. In Jesus' name, amen.